commentary. Hope everybody had a great trading day yesterday. I'm your host, Chuck Fulkerson. We're going to do what we do each and every day, look at the same 10 to 12 futures markets, identifying potential breakout trades, turning points, and such. Let's dive right in. Taking a look at the S&P, we didn't get a huge reversal yesterday. I said I didn't love any of these levels, but I also wasn't willing to take a short on any of these areas. So I kind of had a pretty much a blank. I'll call it a blank slate on the S&P. Now, when I look at this on a bigger time period, say the 4-hour chart, there's plenty of room, I think, for price to continue its rise and its rally. So, in my mind today, this is a little bit of a pullback here in the overnight hours. We've pulled back a little bit off this 28.16 level. If somebody wanted to take a breakout above that 28.16 level, I think that would be a very, I could see why you would do that. I don't think that there's huge profit potential in it based on, going all the way back. Pull a longer time period up here. I thought I had a 90-day. There it is. 90-day 1 hour. That's what I was looking for. Oh, I guess I need more than 90 days officially. So I need to go back even further. We've really been kind of in that sideways action for a while. So looking into here, this area right here, we came through this little area right there, which is that 28.03, which this is a little bit of a drop, one candle there, sideways price action before another strong drop. So we were able to kind of bust through that one. And our next area is up here, 28.27, 28.30. We have a little bit of basing in there on the 4-hour. Now, we spent a lot of time in there, and if you look at it, we had dropped from there once, came back into it again, dropped again, came back into it again, dropped a third time. So this area itself has been tested about 3 or 4 times, and that's why we have this purple area just above there. So what that tells me is that if there is a breakout on that hourly chart, that I think that there's room to roam a little bit, if you will. And that room to roam a little bit would be because we've had a little bit of a pullback right through here. So you might want for a deeper pullback, and that's why I would only take the breakout if we go above the 28.16, the overnight high, because I might want a deeper pullback somewhere into this range down here. Move that to the 1-hour chart. You'll be able to see it a little bit more clearly. There's probably a little wick over wick area right in here when I move to a 15-minute. So I could, if I'm so inclined, take one of these 2 areas down here, and if I didn't want to do the pullback. So it depends on your risk tolerance, but you're going to have a little area here on the 15-minute chart, as well as a little area down here on the 15-minute chart. Probably the lower one is a bit better because the lower one, well, I say the lower one's a bit better, but I've got this resistance here. So you can kind of look at, if you're comfortable enough, if it's 4 points worth of risk, it's not a humongous risk area. If you're comfortable enough getting along on as price comes into here. So either one I think is okay. What I would not do is really take much of a short. Now, moving over to the NASDAQ. So the NASDAQ off of our 73.01 area, nice big rally up to what was a strong profit target area right in here. This blew right through this area, and this had fallen a lot on that Netflix news. And Netflix yesterday, for those of you, I know I don't normally look at individual stocks, but Netflix gapped down and rallied up. The first 3 hours of the day yesterday were humongous. We rallied $30 off the lows, unfortunately. And I say unfortunately because I was kind of hoping that we would drop another $10 after the open, because I think there's a really nice daily level right here that we were unable to get into. I was kind of banking on that one, and so much for banking on that. But it was the strength of Netflix helped to kind of propel the NASDAQ significantly higher. And so had a potential opportunity set up here for a short. It blew right through that area without even thinking twice. But at the very least, that should be your target for your long, and your target for your long as it blew right through. Now, remember the rule on shorting at an all-time high. You don't spit into the wind. You don't pull on Superman's cape. Well, both of those rules are still in effect, especially since we just put an overnight a new overnight all-time high in the NASDAQ. So I would only be looking for a potential long And this one very well, you could do much of the same, as we have a little bit of a pullback here on the hourly chart. So we had this strong rally up, a little bit of a pullback. If somebody wanted to go long, you may get a bit of a reversal in this area. Looking at crude oil. Now crude, we have gapped down in crude, and we've come into that little tiny 15-minute level that we talked about yesterday. So yesterday we looked at this little level right here, a little bit of basing before a very strong rally in price. Now, crude has come back down into that level. We have not really gotten much of a move out of it, and I don't like the basing in front of it. So if you're in it, watch your stop and monitor your stop very, very, very tightly. Gold, you know, I feel like a true fool for not putting a breakout short in gold right here. I'd love to tell you that I'm up looking at the markets at 1 a.m., but I'm not. So I didn't look at them last night before I went to bed. Had I looked at them last night before going to bed, there's a good probability I would have taken that short. However, I did not, but I want you to learn from it. It's a good one to learn from, and the reason is because look at how we basically have the same bottoms. And we're basing, chopping along before then falling through that floor. But the key is the room to roam. And when I look at this, looking at this as a room to roam standpoint, there's really nothing there on the 4 hour. I got to go all the way back to the daily. And even on the daily, we've gotten below this low. So my next low is right down in here. There's room to roam on the hourly chart for that breakout short. But I missed it. C'est la vie. I'll be the first to tell you when I miss trades. I think it's important, by the way, to realize that you're going to miss trades day in, all the time. The key is how do I handle it when I do. Looking at the bond markets. Your revenge trading will kill you. Looking at the bond markets, we are chopping along sideways. Not a whole lot happening here. I mean, this is a real tight range. So right now, I'm kind of, I'm interested in this for a potential breakdown below this area, but we're definitely in a range in bonds. In the Aussie, so we've gotten a little rally in the Aussie off of our level that we talked about yesterday. So this level hit in the overnight hours, and this is continuing to move higher. Depending on your risk tolerance, you may not have a target until right up in this area here. The 73.75 is maybe a first target, and the reason is because that's before our prior fair price value area that's up in here. So you can take your stop and move it to break even if you feel comfortable with doing that once you get a 1-to-1 reward to risk, so that you've locked in at least not taking a loss. On the euro, we have dropped off of this little area up here. Now this area up here we could have used as a potential breakdown short, but we are coming into a spot that could serve as a reversal period. So I'm not totally in love with this area. And the reason I'm not totally in love with this area is because we had kind of bounced around there a little bit before popping higher. And this is a choppy area before this strong rally up. Now this rally up occurred at a pretty weak time of the day. So I put a dashed line in here, knowing that if we come into it and blow through it, then I'm not going to want to enter that position. But a conditional order halfway in to get long as it comes out of the area. Canadian dollar, still have an area down in this region here for a potential long on the reversal. We'll see if we get to that one at some point today. Great British Pound, Japanese Yen, copper, and nat gas. Looks like I'm running a bit slow on my internet connection. There we go. So here is our nat gas. So nat gas, we had the breakdown below this area here. It's still moving down nicely. Japanese yen, we had talked about, as always, when these triangle patterns form, they can break one way or the other. And this breakdown has come kind of from here and continuing its move lower. Nothing more really to add on that one at the moment. Copper, a little bit of chop on copper, but nothing really to add on that one. And then the Great British Pound, we've got an area here on a bigger time period. Got to go all the way up. Got to go all the way up to the daily to see it. and it comes off of this little basing before this very strong rally up. So let's see if this becomes a potential reversal point. Remember, this is on a daily chart, so much more risk if you're trading the futures contract. Remember, just because it's found on a futures contract doesn't mean you need to trade the futures contract. If the risk is too wide for your risk tolerance on that contract, switch to a different vehicle. Maybe go on to do the options. Maybe go do the options on the ETF. Maybe go do the currency pair and use a mini lot, or whatever you need to do to control your risk. I always say this: nobody got into this game to be a futures trader. You got into this game to be a trader. And if the risk is too wide, but the zone is good, then maybe it makes sense to go and change vehicles in order to meet your risk parameters. So that's all I have for today. I hope everybody has an absolutely amazing trading day. If there's anything you need, please feel free to send me an email, chuck@iiefinancial.com. Until next time, talk to you soon. See you.